Juanga was born to sing at Bellas Artes. But before his legendary 1990 concert, that idea was unthinkable. This is No Me Provoquen, a podcast about the woman who dreamed up an impossible concert and made it happen.
How did I get Juan Gabriel to Bellas Artes? It's quite the telenovela.
The performance of a brown popular artist in a white palace. No Me Provoquen is available on any podcast platform.
I swear I saw someone. A woman walking near me, there by the river. And when I realized it, I already had water up to my waist. I don't know how I got out, but I ended up going back to come through the bridge instead. I got very scared. I don't know what it was that I saw.
Very good evening, community. Thank you for joining us again, for allowing us once more to reach you, wherever you may be listening to these tales of the night. Today we have a very special episode, one that I know will scare you, but will also transmit that sadness, that loneliness, that melancholy that comes with ghost stories, with memories that haven't been completely erased, that keep appearing to us. Today we will talk about presences that stay, about people who perhaps are no longer in this world but haven't left completely, ghosts that sometimes return to say goodbye, others to feel close to us for one more moment, those who even return to save us from something. So turn off the lights, get comfortable, and join me on this journey through 3 stories that remind us that forgetting is not permanent. You are listening to Tales of the Night. Hello, Uriel. My name is Liz, and I just recently became part of this community, but this is the first episode I listened to, and I couldn't detach myself. Now I am part of you all. I don't know if this story will ever come out, but I wanted to share one of the many paranormal things that happened to my mom. She has the gift, as some say. She can see what others cannot. And although that sounds very beautiful, very interesting, when other people tell it, the truth is that most of the time it's very ugly to live it. We are from Tula, from Allende, Hidalgo. We live in the La Malinche neighborhood, just one street from the Rosas River that has been there, I don't know, forever. It's an old place, with history and, yes, with very strange things. I sleep with my mom because in the house, we hear things, we see shadows, we feel presences. We've gotten used to it, although that doesn't mean at all that it's easy. One night, very late while we were sleeping, my mom started fighting, almost screaming. I woke up suddenly. I clearly heard her say, "Go away, go away." I tried to wake her up, but I couldn't. She kept sleeping but fighting with someone in her dream. I just started praying and thought about going for water. When from the kitchen I heard a scream, strange, muffled, distant, but at the same time it sounded close in our room. I didn't know if it was from her or from something else. I just got very scared. I went back to bed, curled up in a ball, and tried to sleep. In the morning, calmer, and when I saw that my mom was acting as if nothing had happened, I asked her, "Why did you scream so much earlier?" She stared at me, understanding well what I was referring to. And then she told me what she dreamed. She said she knew, being at the river, that everything was very dark, as if the sky didn't exist, as if it were a place without time. In the middle of the river, there was a woman who looked at her and laughed. A very ugly lady with mocking laughter. But that wasn't what scared her about those visions. She was even somewhat used to them. What frightened her was that she also saw my brother there in the river, walking as if nothing was wrong, drunk. The woman was pulling him. He didn't realize it, but he was getting closer and closer to the center, to deeper and deeper water. She was screaming. She was telling him to come back, not to follow her, but he wouldn't listen. Then she started fighting with that thing. My mom says she went after her, that she cursed at her, that she told her she wasn't going to take her son, that she wouldn't allow it. And there she woke up, right at that moment, when she was fighting the most with that woman. I was impressed by what she told me, but in the end it was about a dream. It wasn't the first time she told me about those episodes where she saw very real things. But the worst came later. We were getting ready to go to the business we have. My brother, who had just woken up, told us something that left us frozen. Hey, I want to tell you something that has me very scared. Last night I came home late and wanting to take a shortcut. I don't think you noticed, but last night I came home late. I was out partying and wanting to take a shortcut. I came through the river, through the lower part, where I used to cross as a child, but I couldn't find the exit. I still cross through there from time to time. I've never gotten lost. I know the way with my eyes closed. But last night was different. I swear that at some point I saw someone, a woman walking near me, there in the river, and when I realized it, I already had water up to my waist. I don't know how I got out, but I ended up going back to come through the bridge instead. I got very scared. I don't know what that was. I just turned to look at my mom and she looked at me. We didn't say anything at that moment. We didn't even know that my brother had come home late. But everything matched the dream, the time, the river, the woman. That fear and even the scream that my brother said he heard when he got out of the water to head to the bridge. I don't know what tried to take him that night. My mom says that maybe it was a witch. But I'm sure that somehow my mom did save him. With that gift she has, with that strength that comes from who knows where when it comes to protecting us. I'll reserve my name because my city is very small, and I know it wouldn't take long for them to figure out who I am. The people who know me, or who for some reason saw my work. I'm from the city of Durango, from the very capital, although as I tell you, my city is very small. It's full of many very beautiful stories, from the monk of the cathedral to the bridge that the devil built. These are among the most famous legends that are still told around here. However, what I want to share with you is not about an ancient legend, but about a very close, very real experience. I have been working for 2 years as a package delivery driver for that very famous yellow company in Mexico. The truth is, it's a job I really like. The income isn't bad at all, and I manage my own schedule. The 2 small stories I have to tell you are anecdotes that have happened to me in this job, and I know many delivery drivers will identify with them. You've never done any compilation about us, those of us who are on the route looking for addresses that are sometimes distant, sometimes strange. But believe me, we also get our dose of completely inexplicable experiences. I was delivering a package in my area. I remember well that it was around the time of St. Jude Thaddeus' feast day, because here in Durango it's customary to throw a big party for him and give away food. I arrived at the indicated address, and the lady to whom I was bringing the delivery asked me if I could please help her put a water jug in the water jug holder, because she had run out of water, and her husband would arrive quite late. I wasn't surprised. It wasn't the first time that some elderly person took advantage of my presence to ask for some kind of help or favor. There are many very lonely people out there, and I try to be kind to all people. So I told her to just give me a chance to arrange my packages, so they wouldn't get stolen, and I would gladly help her. Upon entering, I perceived a very intense smell, a strong cigarette smell. I can barely stand that aroma, since I don't smoke, so I hurried to get out as soon as possible. When passing through the living room, I saw a very large altar to St. Jude Thaddeus, and around it several photos, one of a person about 40 years old and another of a somewhat older gentleman, both with flowers and candles. The lady started telling me that she was very thirsty, but couldn't even bend down to serve herself water directly from the jug. I told her not to worry, that I would set it up so she could drink. After arranging the jug, I headed to the exit, but she told me to wait a moment, that she was going to give me money for a soda. And well, who was I to refuse a tip, right? The lady went back to the kitchen for her purse. I stayed in the middle of the hallway, right next to some L-shaped stairs. And then I saw someone coming down. The man from the photo without a shirt, only with denim pants, with tattooed arms and chest too, with an annoyed face and smoking. I got worried. I thought he was going to say something to me for waking him up, for getting into his house, so I just tried to greet him. "How are you? Good afternoon." He just looked at me for a second, annoyed, and turned around to go back up. I turned to see the lady who was still looking for her wallet in the kitchen, in the distance, hoping she would hurry up. And suddenly the shirtless man comes down again, a little faster and with an annoyed face again. Now I was scared, but he stopped suddenly in the middle of the stairs, as if he couldn't come down from there. But something was saying. I couldn't quite hear it, but I could see it in his face. I better headed toward the door, thinking that maybe he was crazy or violent, that he could hit me. I thought the beating I might get wouldn't be worth the 20 pesos tip. I opened the door, and the moment I was getting on my motorcycle, I heard the lady. "Wait for me, don't leave. Here's money for water." I went back, thanked her, and told her I thought her son had gotten angry because we woke him up, hoping he wouldn't say anything to her. "My son?" she asked. "The gentleman who was on the stairs. I think I woke him up because he was only wearing denim pants, barefoot, and looked very angry." The lady's expression changed, and she just told me, very angrily, "Yes, ma'am, but he didn't come down the stairs." It's good that I think he went back up to continue smoking. "Here, son, for your water. May God take care of you on your way," the lady told me. Today I felt something strange, like fear or a kind of anguish. Not because of what she said, because many ladies to whom I deliver packages say goodbye to me like that. They give me their blessing, especially when they see me on the motorcycle. I think that's why I feel very beautiful when the elderly bless my path. But in this case, I felt strange. Fear and sadness. For a good while, I thought that would be the strangest thing that would happen to me at work. But it wasn't so. Because as I told you, community, 2 strange events have happened to me in this job. This other story starts with a home delivery to a place I arrived at, but no one opened. By procedure, we have to return to attempt delivery up to 3 times a day to deliver the package. I had already called the customer, sent WhatsApp messages, in addition to sending the message, but nothing. No response. After a while, when the app indicated I could retry, I quickly headed once more to the address, since it was the only delivery I needed to finish my route. This was, if I remember correctly, after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just as afternoon was beginning to fall. I spent more than 10 minutes knocking with all the hope that someone would come out just to leave them the package and finish, but no one came out, which honestly annoyed me for making my last attempt in vain. But the moment I got on my motorcycle to leave, I heard the voice of an elderly lady shouting from inside. "Wait there, I'm coming down. Don't leave." I just complained about the wait, especially knowing there was someone at home. I got off my motorcycle and took the corresponding package. As soon as the door opened, it was dark inside. I managed to see a lady about 60-something years old with short hair and very kind. She told me her son was working, but she knew the package was urgent for him. I told her that I would have delivered it earlier on my 3rd visit and that I had sent messages and called, but nothing. But well, I commented that I had no problem leaving it with her. I just asked for her name and relationship to the package owner, because that's how I register it to avoid misunderstandings. She told me her name was Maria del Socorro, that she was Saul's mother. I proceeded to mark it as delivered. And finally, I got on my motorcycle, happy to have finished, to no longer have pending deliveries and to be able to go rest. But what would be my surprise? Community. Because after a while my phone started ringing, the one I use for the app. One call after another. I ignored it, since I was barely eating and knew it was something work-related. I couldn't do anything urgent. But then my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. An endless number of WhatsApp messages were arriving. They were from Mr. Saul. I always save numbers when I send messages for future deliveries, since sometimes it's the same customer, and if they're not there, I already know if they authorize selling the package or leaving it with a neighbor or something like that. The messages I received said, Hello. Are you the delivery driver? Excuse me, but you didn't deliver my package. And here it says you did. Where do you have it? Where did you leave it? I responded that I had successfully delivered it to his family member. I explained that I had been calling him, sending messages, and he didn't answer. But that when I was about to leave on my last attempt, a lady opened the door saying she was his mother and received the package for him. No, of course not. I need you to come to my location because you're lying to me. You left it at another house. Let's see how you handle it, but you have to go recover that package because I need it for my work tomorrow. Hello. Look, forgive me, but if you don't deliver it to me, I'm going to have to file a theft report for not delivering it and saying you did. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, that does affect us a lot. Having them put an undelivered package on us, that can make us lose our job. I asked him to wait for me, for my wife to arrive to take care of the house, that I would gladly go to clarify about the package, but please not to file the complaint yet. In this job community, you encounter despotic, awful people who think that because you provide that service, you're their employee. That you owe them putting up with rudeness, shouting, bad treatment. So no way around it. I was quite resigned to go through one of these episodes again. When I arrived, I let him know by message that I was outside. He came out immediately, but he didn't look upset at all, like I had heard in his voice message. He spoke to me in a completely different tone. He told me that as soon as he had sent me the message, he heard something fall in his room. When he went upstairs, there was that distinctive yellow bag from the package service. But he didn't want to tell me why he needed me to come and tell him in person who had received it, that he needed to hear it from my voice. When I told him, when I described the person who received it, I could only notice how his eyes became teary, how he swallowed and told me, "Forgive me, brother, but I can't believe who received the package for you. It was my mom, but she's been dead for several years. I can't believe it. Seriously." He told me it was in that same house where years before, one night after dinner, she told him and his brothers that she didn't feel well, that she would go directly to sleep instead. Unfortunately, at midnight, since they no longer heard noise in her room, they went up to see how she was, to ask how she was doing, and found her lifeless. I saw him confused, unable to believe it. You could see a mixture of fear and hope in his eyes that seemed very sentimental, that moved me. He just offered me apologies and told me that for future deliveries, please, to go after 5 o'clock when he would already be there, because before that, the house would always be empty. So far, I haven't had to deliver anything else to that address, but every time I pass by, there's something that makes me turn to look at it. I feel chills and fear that one day when passing by, I'll see the lady again. And I know that if I have to deliver another package to that person, I'm going to leave it until the end to take it after the agreed time. Or if not, I'll send a message to take it to another part of the city where this house is. I don't want to go back there anymore. Thank you for staying here. To you who are listening. You already know that if you made it to this point, it's because you are a fundamental part of this, of those who see these stories not just as tales to get scared. You are part of those strange people who form this community and who fall asleep with scary stories, who feel accompanied by ghost stories that other people, normal people, wouldn't let sleep. I remind you that if you want to support us, the best way to do it is by leaving a comment, a rating, or sharing this podcast with someone who doesn't know it yet. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't done so, especially if you listen on Spotify because we're about to reach 2 million followers there. Now, let's close this episode with a difficult story. A story that talks about what stays, about that echo we leave when we abandon this plane. Let's continue. Hello. I prefer to reserve my name because of the delicate nature of the subject and because this story involves people who are still alive. A family that still hasn't fully healed from what happened. I was about 10 years old when all this started, and although much time has passed, there are things that still weigh heavily on me that I haven't been able to forget. I had a distant aunt, very young. Her name was Mariana. She was no more than 25 years old when she died. I always remember her smiling. She's one of those people who, even if they didn't have an easy life, always give you a kind word, advice, a smile. And although she didn't live with us, every time she visited us, she treated me with great affection. I remember perfectly the last time I saw her. We were playing with a plastic racket in the patio. I was very restless. They scolded me a lot, but she just smiled. It didn't bother her like other people that I could never stay still. That's the image I have engraved of her, that last smile. What my family tells me is that Mariana had many problems with her mother and her brothers. Her family circle was complicated. There was a lot of alcohol, many late nights and constant arguments, and that's not healthy for anyone. Sometimes Mariana would get upset with her mother about all that. But she also had her own life, which she hoped would be different from her closest family environment. Her plans were very far from them. She had a boyfriend of several years with whom they said she was planning to go live very soon. My grandmother told me once that it seemed Mariana had a bad feeling, that she had been telling her strange things for a while, like she felt something was going to happen to her. She told her she dreamed things, situations too real, scenarios that didn't seem like a simple dream, and that left her with the idea that she wasn't going to live much longer. One afternoon of those, when she was already having those dreams, was when we saw each other for the last time when we played with the rackets. A couple of months passed since that afternoon. One night, very late, my mother's sister, who lived 2 blocks away, came knocking on the door desperately. I was with my mom. My aunt was crying like I had never seen her. "She's dead. Mariana is dead," she repeated desperately, crying. I couldn't believe it, but all 3 of us started crying. I didn't fully understand. They're blurry memories, but I know that was the first moment in life when I felt true pain, the kind you only feel when you lose someone forever. That night, Mariana was in Toluca, where she lived with her mother and brothers. An uncle had come to visit, and they had been drinking all afternoon. Already at dawn, someone proposed continuing the party in Pachuca, at the house of other relatives who had gathered. Something completely irresponsible, of course, because everyone was drunk. There wasn't a single coherent voice. Mariana didn't want to go. They say she insisted a lot, that she told them it was dangerous, but her mother and brothers pressured her. The uncle who was going to drive could barely stand up, and still they got in the car. Mariana finally went as co-pilot. She couldn't prevent her family from going on that stupid trip, but she wasn't going to let them go alone. Her mother and brothers were in the back, the uncle at the wheel. I won't go into details. The only thing I'll say is that what was obvious happened, an accident. But the only victim was her, Mariana. The uncle, from what I know, fled the hospital as soon as he could, surely knowing he was going to prison, and although there was no justice. Although in the family no one talked about it directly anymore, it remained like an open wound. Mariana's mother, since then, was never the same. She remained absent, sad, very thin, as if a part of her had gone with her daughter. And I think she deserved it. But that wasn't the only thing that happened. Of course, the reason I share this story is not because of the premonitory dreams. It's because afterwards something happened. Something more. things that to this day we don't understand. After the wake, Mariana's house was empty for just a couple of weeks. Everyone was devastated. They organized to pray, clean, and take out some things among the rest. One day my Uncle Roberto arrived first, lit a cigarette, and stayed outside thinking about everything that had happened. It was hard not to do it being there. Then he saw Mariana's boyfriend coming walking with hurried steps. Seeing him, he approached and said, "Good evening, sir. Is Mariana there? I'm very embarrassed to tell you this, but I've come several times if she doesn't want to talk to me, but I swear I didn't do anything. I just see her looking out the window and she sees me. I realize she sees me, but she doesn't open for me, doesn't answer me. She must be very angry with me, but I swear I don't know why." My poor uncle was speechless. The cigarette fell from his mouth. He turned pale. His eyes filled with tears because he didn't know how to tell him the truth. He realized that no one had told the poor boyfriend. "Oh, son, I don't know how that's possible. I'm not saying you're lying to me, but 2 weeks ago, Mariana had an accident. Mariana died, son." Poor boy. He broke down. He couldn't believe it. He cried nonstop. He insisted he had seen her, that during that whole week several times, Mariana had looked out the window on the second floor, that he thought she was avoiding him, but that he had seen her. He swore on his life that he saw her. My grandmother says that maybe Mariana went to say goodbye, that she couldn't leave without seeing him one last time. And this story would already be sad in itself. Community. But something else happened in this family. Years later, that same Uncle Roberto married later with a woman who already had twins. They fell in love and decided to have a baby together. When the girl was born, they gave her a name that came to mind: Mariana. The reason was specifically to honor my aunt's memory. But that girl also died suddenly. Crib death. She was barely 1 year old. She fell asleep and never woke up. I don't know. I really don't know if I'm reading too much into this. Sometimes, I wonder if it was just a coincidence, or if calling that baby by that name, so loaded with sadness in our family, was a way of invoking something. A terrible destiny. I don't know. But every time I remember it, I get chills. I could only tell you not to name your children with the name of a family member with a tragic story. I think the first Mariana, the one who was always smiling, stayed here with me somehow because I can still feel her close. What hurts me most is that I'll never know why. Have a very good night. Rest well. May God bless you, community.